Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another edition of Bad Deck Monday, where we take some fun cards, throw them all together, and see what happens. Today we're going to use a very bad deck, and that's going to be Cacturne. So Cacturne, I believe this is from the Plasma Freeze set, has this attack, Rapid Fire Needles. So for 1 energy it does 60 damage, which is actually not bad. It's pretty solid amount for a single energy. But it has the downside of doing 30 damage to one of your own Pokemon. So the obvious thing to do with this would be, okay, well, I'm going to hit my benched Pokemon, so why don't I run Mr. Mime to block that damage? That way I just get to do 60 for free, and hey, that's not bad. I'm going to take a different route. I think Cacturne is downright awful. So, I don't think it can win by itself. I don't think Mr. Mime is the way to go. Instead, let's try to take this negative of damage to our own Pokemon and turn it into a positive. How are we going to do that? Outrage! Okay, so, we all know these Pokemon have Outrage, Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem. So, Reshiram's going to be the first one here. Outrage, 20 plus 10 for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Attacks for colorless energy, pretty cool, 130 HP. Sounds good. There are a lot of popular Pokemon weak to Reshiram, including Virizion EX, Genesect EX. I guess those are the two big ones. But yeah, Fire is not a bad type to have. Neither is Lightning. Now, I know you can't really see Zekrom as just a giant chunk of gold, but this is indeed a Zekrom card. And you can see why I don't like these secret rare Reshiram and Zekrom, but you know what? It is a lightning type, so we'll go with the gold one here. My goodness, you can't even see a Zekrom at all on here. What is going on? Anyway, yes, this also has Outrage. Same thing as Reshiram, just a lightning type. And Kyurem is going to be a little bit different. Of course, we do have the regular one with Outrage. This was reprinted as a promo and also in Legendary Treasures. So don't be fooled. This is from the Noble Victories set, but it has been reprinted. But yeah, Outrage once again for a water type, which is also nice. And then, of course, Kyurem EX. He's a little bit beefier with the Outrage. He does 30 plus. Of course, has the downside of being a Pokemon EX. So here is the entire point of the deck. Rapid Fire Needles hurt our own Pokemon, and then do damage with Outrage, trying to hit for weakness against certain decks. For example, Zekrom against Yveltal EX, Reshiram against Genesect, and Kyurem's for Landorus EX, or Charizard EX as well. Alright, now Cacturne does have an additional attack. It is not particularly good. You would hope with a stipulation like this it would be something incredible, but if your opponent has only one prize card left, this attack does 60 more damage and discard energy attached to the defending Pokemon. Well, bad news is if your opponent only has one prize left and you're attacking with Cacturne, you have probably lost the game. It has 90 HP, so payback, as cool as it seems, not particularly good. I would much rather see something like a Shaman EX use Revenge Blast, since, if your opponent's at one prize, then hey, you're doing 180 damage. But no, we have payback. Okay. We also are running one Virizion EX for that Verdant Wind ability, stopping any sort of special conditions if we have a Grass Energy. I'm not sure how necessary this is, considering Cacturne only has 90 HP, but let's run it anyway. You never know if we run into some silly Excelgor deck. Okay, so let's take a look at the trainers we have here. We're going to have pretty simple supporters for Skyla, for Professor Juniper, 4 N, and 2 Colrus, but we're also going to have that one Lysander, and for this deck, it's Bad Deck Monday, let's toss in an Iris, right? This is going to be a fun card if we can pull it off sometimes. The idea of this kind of Outrage deck is to be unpredictable, right? Outrage is pretty straightforward. Your opponent can see, oh, you have, X amount of damage on you. That means Outrage is going to do 20 plus whatever that X is. So they can plan accordingly. But with Iris, you never know what's going to happen. Nobody expects the Iris. And in addition to, the regular damage and the Iris, we also are going to run Muscle Band, which does 20 more damage, or Silver Bangle, 30 more against Pokemon EX. So lots of damage modifiers here, along with 4 Hypnotoxic Laser and 2 Burbank City Gym. So we're going to try to be dishing out as much damage as possible with our dinky little attacks and see if it can get us there. We have 1 Super Rod to recover some cards, 2 Level Ball, and 3 Ultra Ball to search out our Pokemon, 2 Switch because switching is good, 1 Dowsing Machine to recover any trainer card we may want to get back over the course of the game, and then 6 Grass Energy and 4 DCE. That will round out our Cacturne Outrage deck. Indeed, this deck is outrageous. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at a game I played on Pokemon TCG Online with Cacturne and see if we can actually win a game with this monstrosity of a deck. I mean, you're going to hurt your own Pokemon while attacking with a 90 HP Pokemon. Just let that sink in. That is not usually a formula for success in the Pokemon TCG. Hurting yourself with a 90 HP main attacker. Oh man, that can go south very quickly. But hey, let's see what happens. Let's give it a try. We're going to start off with the Reshiram. Now these big dragons, I mean they're fire, lightning, and water, but they are dragons. These big dragons are pretty cool in that they have 130 HP. They're very difficult to knock out on the first turn. Hardly any decks can really do that. So you feel very safe starting off with one of them, and indeed I do. We do get a laser and a Burbank off on that Entei EX right away, so I have no idea what I'm going up against. We see an Entei EX, Suicune, and an Yveltal EX, but I am able to get a couple Cacnea down on the board, and you know, with that Burbank and laser, we're starting to put a little pressure on, and let's see what happens from there. We do see a Skyla for a level ball, and what is that going to get my opponent? Probably, I was going to say, a Spritzy. The only deck that would run this many different kinds of Pokemon, seemingly unrelated completely, would be an Aromatisse deck, right? You can move the Prism and the Rainbow Energy wherever you please. Seems pretty cool to me, but this is going to be a bit of a challenge. You know, Rapid Fire Needles only does 60, and you know, they have Max Potion, so that's not going to be, once again, not a formula for success. Not only are we knocking our own Pokemon out using a 90 HP attacker, but then my opponent can simply heal off that damage with Max Potion. So, I'm not sure how to approach this kind of a matchup, but hopefully something goes my way. Yeah, that's that's all we can really hope for here, right? Okay, so the laser damage is indeed building up on these 2 Pokemon. Reshiram taking 60. The Entei EX already has 90 damage on it. I wish I could have gotten a Rapid Fire Needles off that turn, but it looks like that was not meant to be. Something interesting is, which Pokemon do I start hurting first? Do I go damage my own Zekrom, seeing that there's an Yveltal EX out there, or do I damage my own Kyurem EX with Rapid Fire Needles, seeing that there is both an Entei and a Landorus EX out there? These will have to be tough decisions. But oh my goodness, my opponent gets Landorus EX, Prism Energy, Fairy Garden, Aromatisse, moving all this stuff around. And it's going to be a free retreat with the Fairy Garden, Fairy Transfer moving the energy up to the Landorus EX, and that Hammerhead hitting for 30 damage and 30 to the benched Cacturne. So a little bit annoying there. We're getting hit by that Hammerhead very quickly, and we'll have to find some way to respond to this. Now, let's see. I guess we could Outrage here and hit for, you know, a decent amount of damage, but honestly, I would prefer to use Rapid Fire Needles so that I can damage my own Pokemon. Seems kind of silly, but, you know, if that Yveltal EX comes out, what do I have to respond to it? Nothing. So I would rather just Rapid Fire Needles here, retreat, and hit my own Zekrom for 30, saying, you know what, if that Yveltal EX decides to come out, we're going to have a good chance of knocking it out between Zekrom's Outrage, which is doing 50 damage right now. If we can get a Silver Bangle and then use that Iris or a Silver Bangle and use a Hypnotoxic Laser, we can knock out Yveltal EX in one hit. So we have options now, and that's what we need. Now, even if Landorus EX gets a Muscle Band like it does right there, it will not be able to knock out Cacturne since it has 90 HP. Hammerhead's only doing 50 damage. Even with a Hypnotoxic Laser wouldn't be enough because Virizion EX is like, nope, Verdant Wind. This somehow blocks a laser gun. Let's not question it. Let's just go along with it and say, haha, lasers don't work on my Cacturne now because I have a grass energy on it. Yeah, I don't know either. Anyway, we will see the Entei EX come out, and now I'm saying, oops, I probably should have hit my Kyurem EX with that Rapid Fire Needles. Even if I did that, though, it would have been pretty difficult to muster up a knockout. But it was possible. I don't know. Alright, so now seems like another opportunity to send out the old Cacturne and get things going. Now we are damaging things a little bit, and that's about all we're doing. Giving up prizes in the process with our Rapid Fire Needles, our 90 HP Cacturne. So this has not been the best situation so far, but hey, we'll still try to work with it. I have 3 Skyla in my hand, so I figure let's go ahead and play one. I could have used Chorus for a lot of cards, but hey, might as well use a Skyla when I don't particularly need to do anything besides attack this turn. So let's go ahead and try to take advantage of this opportunity. Let's go with the Skyla for a Super Rod. There really isn't much else I want to do here. And we'll go ahead and shuffle in just 3 Grass Energy just to make sure we have plenty of energy to work with. Alright, so let's go again with the Rapid Fire Needles, hitting for 60 and then hitting that Kyurem EX for 30. Trying to pump up the Outrage just a little bit more. Now, from here, I don't know what my opponent is really going to do. What does he want to attack with? I mean, the Landorus is damaged, the Entei is damaged. Looks like he doesn't care, though. Landorus is indeed going to come out here. Come out and play. And an energy goes on to that benched Yveltal EX. And we'll have to see what happens next, because I don't really know. Looks like just a Hammerhead. No max potion. This is going to be very, very big for me. He does get the prize on that Reshiram, but I get to now use Outrage for a knockout on the Landorus EX. Let's not forget, Outrage is 30 plus on that Kyurem EX, meaning we can just Outrage for 60 times, or 30 plus 30, which is, yes, 60, times 2 for 120 damage. Since Landorus EX is weak to water. And here we go, Outrage. Goodbye, Landorus EX. And it's actually going to be pretty darn difficult for my opponent to get a knockout here. Right, I have 150 HP left, just 2 energy on there. And let's see, if Yveltal EX gets a 3rd energy, I assume one will get transferred active. 3rd energy and a muscle band that is actually only 140 damage. So my opponent would need an energy, a muscle band, and a hypnotoxic laser to get a knockout on this Kyurem EX. So I'm actually feeling pretty safe about it. However, we do see a dowsing machine for a muscle band, so all of a sudden I'm not feeling so good about it, especially seeing my opponent actually discarded a double colorless energy. Now, I don't see DCE too often in Fairy decks, so this was not expected at all. Now we're going to see that big bad evil ball for a lot of damage, and goodbye Kyurem EX. Uh-oh, that's not good. So much for that, but I do have that Zekrom ready to go, and it's time to trade blows, baby. We got our Outragers all set up. Gonna go ahead and Skyla for that Hypnotoxic Laser. Let's do the math here. Silver Bangle, Hypnotoxic Laser. 30, 60, 80 with Outrage, plus the 10 from Hypnotoxic Laser. And then the weakness, that's going to be 170 total damage. Pretty sweet. Alright, here we go. Gonna Ultra Ball to thin out some cards here. And Outrage, there it is, 160. Poison finishing off that Yveltal EX. And Zekrom coming in for the big old knockout. Oh man. Alright, so now we do see a Mewtwo EX on the bench. And a Lysander. Uh-oh. Looks like, oh, it's just going to bring out Virizion EX. Looks like my opponent probably didn't have much to do that turn. And oh, my opponent has a Virizion EX. Probably was prized. Probably would have helped him quite a bit, but hey, lucky me. Lucky me. Alright, so here, I'm really not sure what I should be doing. I mean, I have an opportunity here to take a knockout on this Suicune with a Cacturne. I think we're going to try to do that. Sounds good. Probably going to switch and then Chorus for nice 9 cards here. And if I could, I would actually attack with the one with the no damage on it, since my opponent doesn't seem to have anything really good to knock out a Cacturne here. How weird is that? I mean, the NTEX is damaged, so he probably doesn't want to use that. So let's send out the fresh Cacturne, hit our own Zekrom, and just try to beef up that Zekrom to the point where it can knock out a big EX and try to win the game that way. Or I could draw my Dowsing Machine, don't believe I've used that yet, and get a Lysander and win the game that way. That would be pretty cool. Let's see what happens, though. There is a DC on Mewtwo. There's an energy on Cacturne. Right now, X-Ball is doing 60. That Hypnotoxic Laser will do nothing because of Rizini X's Verdant Wind. Like we mentioned earlier, Rizini X is not having any of that. Saying, nuh-uh, Mewtwo, that doesn't work, man. I'm sitting right here, and then even my opponent has a Rizini X in play, and he's like, dude, I told you, that doesn't work. He's got a Grass Energy. But he did it anyway. So we'll have to see now what my opponent does next. We do see Prism Energy on the Mewtwo. We did counter that Fairy Garden, though, so we're not going to have to worry about that for the time being. And, hey, I don't know. This is actually going to be a really close game. I am very surprised that Cacturne has managed to take 5 prizes, but we did hit for the right weaknesses at the right times. Zekrom and Kyurem EX doing some good stuff here. We're just going to see the Raiden Knuckle for 30 damage. Yikes. Seems like a pretty weak play at this point in the game, but what do I know? Nothing, I guess. Let's see. So, going to go ahead and attach to the active, and honestly, I don't really know what to do. I wouldn't mind playing an N here, but oh man, I have that Iris, so I'm actually going to hold on to this. We're going to Rapid Fire Needles once again, hitting my Zekrom for 30. Now it has 90 damage on it. He's starting to get mighty, mighty scary. We do see the Chorus for 9 cards from my opponent. Uh-oh. Maybe that N was the right thing to do. Well, another fortunate thing was my opponent didn't have any Plasma Pokemon to put energy onto on the bench, so don't have to worry about energy acceleration. Of course, Raiden Knuckle only goes on to the benched Pokemon if they're Team Plasma, and there are none out there. So right now he's just hitting for 30 damage, not very good. We did see that Chorus, though, but a Sacred Ash actually shuffled in a lot of scary-looking Pokemon. Landorus EX being one of them. I don't like seeing Hammerhead at this point. That wouldn't be very good. Hopefully that doesn't come up. But looks like we got the Max Potion healing off the Thunderous EX. Looks like this is my opponent's attacker of choice right now. Hitting for 30, but let's see. How much damage are we doing? Outrage is doing 20, 50 with the Bangle, 140 with the damage. Oh! I can't believe this is actually going to work. Iris, that's plus 40, and that adds up to an Outrage for 180 damage. Who would have guessed? Iris, Outrage, we did it. Cacturne. Somehow, someway, Cacturne has managed to take the victory over this Aromatisse deck. I really have no idea what just happened. Zekrom MVP. Okay. If you say so, Pokemon TCG Online. I guess this is where crazy things happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.